Hey everyone, I had a lot of fun coming up with add-on ideas for the Onryo, so I thought I would do another add-on pass sort of what-if video. And I think we can all agree that out of every single killer in the game, Pyramid Head, also known as the Executioner, is the killer who's in the most need of an add-on pass, as the only add-ons that seem to get used on him are the Blackstrap, the Wax Doll, and the Burning Man painting, all of which increase the range of his punishment of the damned attack. By comparison, his other add-ons are largely ineffective or have a weak effect overall. For instance, the ones that increase the duration of Killer Instinct, when a survivor either steps or runs over a trail of torment, are largely useless as the majority of the time, a survivor becomes tormented when you're chasing them, and as such you already have a good idea of their location, or you already have line of sight with them, so these add-ons are not particularly useful whatsoever. And also, his recharge add-ons are nearly useless as he can place his trails in the environment and use his punishment of the damned attack with his power bar while it's still recharging. This is unlike other killers, for instance, like the Legion, Spirit, or the Blight, all of whom require their power bars to be completely recharged and full before they're able to use their abilities, unlike Pyramid Head. The way his add-ons are organized is they affect a singular aspect of his power and scale upwards based on their rarity. This sort of largely represents DBD's old philosophy of add-on design, as other killers in the past shared this pattern of design until they received their add-on passes, including the Legion, Ghostface, and even the Nurse, for instance. And as I go through Pyramid Head's add-ons, I'm going to be comparing his add-ons to other killer powers and add-ons, and sort of explain my rationale behind some changes, aside from the ones that are simply just being changes in numbers overall. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below, and consider subscribing for more content. I would very much appreciate it as I'm aiming to hit 1,000 subscribers. And without further self-promotion, let's begin. Starting with his brown add-ons, because you get so many of them because of their lower rarity and blood point cost, I believe they should provide small but marginal buffs to make them overall worthwhile using. I'm going to start with his ring add-ons and give them similar but mirroring effects as they're the same type of item. In Dead by Daylight, ring items and add-ons can be used to channel certain effects, such as aura reading, or providing a powerful benefit such as opening the hatch if you're the last survivor. For Pyramid Head being a supernatural manifestation, wearing or using rings I believe would provide benefits to him using his sword as he channels his power into his rites of judgment trails and his punishment of the damned attack. The lead ring I'm going to be changing to extend the width of your torment trails in the environment by 1 meter. I figure with the flavor text describing it as having a disgusting bloated face on it, it would translate to having bloated or wider trails that you can put down in the environment. Whereas the copper ring by comparison has a spider on it. And spiders are creatures that, while far away, are harmless, but when close up can be quite dangerous. The new copper ring add-on parallels this idea, because it will extend the range of your punishment of the damned attack by 1 meter. This is now going to be his only add-on that extends the range of his special attack, by the way, as I try to avoid scaling add-ons based on rarity. This is also to avoid the current meta of stacking add-ons of the same type, like Pyramid already has to begin with. For his Blackstrap add-on, I would change it to basically just decrease the cooldown from using his punishment of the damned attack by 1 second. This add-on is overall a quality of life sort of add-on, but would still provide a useful benefit. It would help newer players feel less punished from missing their special attacks, but would reward experienced players for landing their attacks. In both cases, it would reduce the distance survivors get while Pyramid Head is going through his cooldown period. It's a simple change overall that I feel like would justify its rarity and overabundance in the Bloodweb as a brown common add-on. And as for his last brown add-on, which is the Dead Butterfly, to be honest, this add-on was the last one that I thought of its effect for. And such, I took a sort of symbolic role to it, as butterflies are creatures who are thought to symbolize the souls of individuals spiritually. Translated gameplay-wise, the visual representation of souls can be thought of as the auras of other players, and that concept inspired the change to this add-on. The new effect makes it to that, at the start of the trial, all survivor auras are revealed to you for 10 seconds. Essentially, it's Lethal Pursuer in the form of an add-on, but unlike Lethal Pursuer, which extends the duration of all other aura reading, however, the Dead Butterfly's flavor text describes it as a frail object that nearly falls apart when touched, so once the 10 seconds of aura reading are used up, that's it for the add-on. No other killer has this sort of kind of add-on, and for a killer like Pyramid Head who has no map mobility, can't insta-down a survivor, and being a supernatural being, it's not like this is a crazy or overpowered effect, at least in my opinion. Plus, Lethal Pursuer is a pretty commonly used perk, so for it to be a brown common add-on, I think it's a perfect fit for Pyramid Head. From the brown common add-ons, we move on to the yellow rarity add-ons, and we're going to start with the Wax Doll, which, as I mentioned earlier, extends the range of his punishment of the damned attack. I'm not going to be letting it keep its current effect that increases the range of his attack, so it's going to get a rework altogether. I think it representing the obsession would be thematic, as dolls can represent someone you're obsessed with, or you have a strong connection to them in general. The new add-on effect would be that whenever you land a successful punishment of the damned attack, that survivor will become the obsession if they are not already. And because you can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time during the game, there comes the instance of what happens if you hit 2 survivors at the same time with your attack then. This is perhaps the only time in which 2 survivors could become the obsession at the same time, so to prevent this from happening, it would come down to your proximity to the killer. The survivor who's the closest range-wise to the killer at the time of the attack will become the obsession. This way the game can distinguish who should become the obsession mechanically. I think this would be a fitting change for Pyramid Head, because he should have an add-on that allows him to swap his sessions, as he goes between victims fixated on inflicting punishment through pain. Up next is the Spearhead add-on, which is a sharp, rusted top of a spear with blood on it from its previous victim. I think it would be fitting that something as sharp and already covered in blood like a spearhead should inflict the mangled and hemorrhage status effects to survivors whenever they're damaged using a punishment of the damned attack. Overall, it's a fitting object for that effect, and this would also allow you to basically have Sloppy Butcher but in add-on form, similar to how other killers have add-ons that apply the same status effects. This sort of plays into the idea with the next add-on, which is the Leopard-Print Fabric. And similar to the Spearhead, I give it a status effect as well, but instead of applying the mangled and hemorrhage status effect, it will apply that blindness status effect to the survivors whenever they're damaged using a punishment of the damned attack until they're fully healed, that is. I figured with it being a piece of fabric or like a shroud such as an offering, it would be basically able to hide auras easily. This next add-on perhaps has my favorite effect out of all of the changes, as it's for the Cinderella Music Box, which currently increases the amount of time trials remain in the environment, and I thought of a fun effect based on the concept of sound. As we all know, sound plays an important role in Dead by Daylight, from the various soundtracks, ambient environmental noise, and to the most important one in-game, which I consider the terror radius. The new add-on effect plays into the sound aspect, to where whenever you're placing your rites of judgment trails in the environment, your terror radius becomes map-wide. With every survivor hearing your terror radius at once, it's like the reverse of being undetectable, but in the opposite sense, as the survivors won't be able to pinpoint your exact location. In DBD's entire history, this sort of effect has only been used once before with an add-on, and that was with the Legion's Iridescent button, at least prior to patch 5.7.0, so it is possible for this kind of effect to exist as an add-on. And with this new add-on effect, it would open up the possibility of niche perk builds such as impossible skill checks with Unnerving Presence, or Coulrophobia to name a few. So yeah, this add-on has a lot of fun potential to it. As for the last yellow add-on, the Forgotten Videotape, since it's a piece of technology in the realm of the entity, I think having a technology, or rather generator effect, would be fitting conceptually. The new add-on's effect would be each time a generator is completed, the survivors who completed that generator will become tormented. I don't think it would be that strong of an effect, at least at the beginning of the game, but as you start downing and hooking survivors, it would become more of an endgame threat, as survivors who are tormented could be moored with your final judgment by being tormented through this add-on. This add-on would also make getting his daily ritual, the Rite of the Executioner, which requires you to send 2 survivors to the Cages of Atonement, also more easily done. I say this because the majority of survivors will actively avoid trying to step into your torment trails, including choosing to go down without being tormented. This add-on's new effect will also make the survivors more conscientious when a survivor is sent to a Cage of Atonement, because if they're tormented, rescuing a survivor from a cage will remove their tormented status effect as well. Thus, overall, this encourages the survivors to make more tactical decisions regarding their own personal safety and their own tormented status effect. Let me know down below in the comment section what y'all think of this change. Is it too strong or is it just right balance-wise? Anyways, from yellow add-ons we move on to green, and we're going to be starting off with the Burning Man painting. And as I mentioned earlier, it's one of the 3 add-ons that currently extend the range of your punishment of the damned attack. And seeing how only one add-on is needed to extend the range of your special attack, it needs a rework altogether. This add-on's flavor text describes it as a diagram of the Lakeview Hotel, with red flames painted over parts of it. I think in some ways this add-on could be conceptually similar to the survivor's item, which is the Rainbow Map, and with the Rainbow Map it tracks all interactable objects in the environment, and as such it acts as an on-demand diagram for the survivor to see every objective around the map. With the Burning Man painting diagram, the red flames on it can be used to represent the generators found in the environment, as they are normally revealed in a red aura to the killer throughout the entire game. I think a cool change to this add-on that takes the red aura into consideration is that whenever you're placed down on Rites of Judgment trail in the environment, the repair progress of a generator can be determined by the intensity of your aura. In a sense, it would be similar to other killer add-ons including the Legion's Fuming Mixtape and the Wraith's All-Seeing Spirit. The generators would start out as a white aura and would gradually get redder in coloration as it's repaired more and more. For the next add-on, which is the Tablet of the Oppressor, its flavor text describes it as a metal tablet engraved with Aztec figures. And outside of the meat hooks scattered around the trial, the only other metal interactable for survivors to use are the generators. The new add-on's effect would play into the Oppressor concept, so that when a survivor misses a skill check while repairing a generator, if they're injured, they'll be punished by entering the Deep Wound state. This add-on's effect might be kind of weak, but it could make its way into some niche builds involving skill check related perks, such as either Oppression or Merciless Storm, or it can be combined with the Cinderella's Music Box with its new effect, and the perk Unnerving Presence to make skill checks even harder to deal with. Next up is the Misty Day Remains of Judgement, another add-on that increases the duration of Killer Instinct when a survivor walks or runs through a torment trail. The flavor text describes this painting as Pyramid Head standing in front of several cages of atonement, and I think if Pyramid Head saw this, he would become empowered with a better effect. I'm going to be giving it the current Mannequin Foot's effect, which increases the time where rites or judgment trails can remain active in the environment, but instead of it being in 20 seconds, I'm going to increase it to 25 seconds, since this will be the only add-on of its kind, and as such it needs to be buffed to take that into consideration, since there are currently 3 add-ons that increase its duration. By increasing the duration, it will also embody the painting, because if the trails stay longer in the environment, it increases the likelihood that a survivor will step into the trail, and as such increases the likelihood of them being sent to a cage of atonement, or being able to inflict final judgment on them. And speaking of the Mannequin's Foot, since we gave its effect to the Misty Day Remains of Judgement, it needs a new effect. Since it's depicted as a broken piece of a mannequin, why not also make the survivors broken as well? It's a simple change, but when a survivor is hit by a punishment of the damned attack, they become broken for 90 seconds. This way, if you hook or cage them after a special attack, they won't be able to immediately heal when they're rescued, and as such they'll remain injured. With this new add-on's effect, it also fits in with the rarity progression of status effects, such as from the Spearhead and the Leopard-Print Fabric. And for the last green add-on, we move on to the Valtiel Sect photograph. Right now it decreases the time your power bar needs to recharge, but as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's not a useful add-on because Pyramid Head doesn't have to wait for his power bar to fully recharge before he can use his power again. A new effect that I thought of would be that whenever you send a survivor to a cage of atonement, all survivor ores will be revealed to you for 10 seconds. This basically is the effect of his current ultra rare add-on, the Iridescent Steel Metatron, but we'll discuss that change later on in the video. The idea behind the change is the photo depicts hooded figures in red hoods, and auras are depicted in red, and normally survivor auras are also hidden as well, like people wearing hoodies for example, hence the connection of concept to gameplay change. This new add-on's effect would basically reward you for sending survivors to cages throughout the game, rather than waiting to use final judgment on them. And with the new effect to the Forgotten Videotape, it will also have a great deal of synergy with that add-on to overall make it more feasible and fun to use. Now, with the purple add-ons, there's 2 pairs of the same kind of items, so I'm going to be making each of the eggs and each of the book effects complementary to one another. Starting with the egg add-ons, the Scarlet one currently increases the duration of Killer Instinct when a survivor steps or runs over a trail of judgment. And as I mentioned earlier before, Killer Instinct duration add-ons are not useful in general, so it's getting changed altogether. For the add-on's new effect, it'll basically be that whenever you attack a survivor with your punishment of the damned attack successfully, it will reveal the aura of all other survivors for 6 seconds. It has a relatively easy activation requirement for a decent effect, which is map awareness through aura reading. And because the flavor text describes it as a strikingly red egg, and auras are intense red, I think color-wise the item mirrors its gameplay appearance. And as for the rust-colored egg, it currently applies the blindness status effect for 60 seconds after a survivor becomes tormented. But because we already gave the blindness status effect to the Leopard-Print Fabric, it needs a new effect altogether. Similar to the Scarlet Egg, it will apply its new status effect based on successfully hitting a survivor with the punishment of the damned attack. The new add-on effect will be that when you land a successful special attack, it'll cause that survivor to become tormented. With this add-on change, it'll also give the executioner a third way of spreading his torment ability to the survivors and make his punishment of the damned attack more of a threat, especially as survivors eat through their hook stages and become dead on hook. With it also applying on special attacks, it would have a lot of synergy with his other add-ons, especially with the ones that also apply status effects, and the ones that reward you for landing your punishment of the damned attacks, and for sending survivors to cages as well. Overall, I think it's a really well-rounded add-on effect. For the book add-ons, we start with the Lost Memories book, which makes survivors oblivious after interacting with a Rites of Judgement trail. It's a cool idea, however 15 seconds of obliviousness really isn't going to help you much. If you're already chasing them, there's no real point of being oblivious, as you still have your red stain giving away your direction, and if they have line of sight with you, then this add-on basically does nothing. And if you're all the way across the entire map, then that survivor being oblivious is not going to be impactful whatsoever. As you may have guessed with the changes based on the previous status effect add-ons created, it's also going to get that treatment as well. When a survivor is hit with the punishment of the damned attack, all survivors who are suffering from the tormented status effect will become oblivious for 90 seconds. This may seem like a really long time, and it is. However, it does require a decent amount of investment from Pyramid Head in tormenting each survivor. Unless of course you use the Forgotten Videotape or even the rust-colored egg add-on to increase the amount of survivors who are tormented. To get maximum value from these add-ons, you would also need to not send survivors to cages, as you would lose its effect over time when the survivors are able to remove their torment ability from rescuing a survivor from a cage. This overall encourages the player to make more tactical decisions, which I think is more healthy for gameplay. The Crimson Ceremony book, on the other hand, currently applies this hemorrhage status effect to injured survivors who are tormented. And let me just say that any add-on that applies the hemorrhage status effect, especially by itself without Mangled, should never be above a yellow rarity add-on. It's not near as impactful as you might think it is, plus we've already attached hemorrhage to the Spearhead add-on, so this add-on needs a new effect altogether. I'm making it similar but different to the Lost Memories book effect. Instead of applying the Beliefs and Status effect, it's going to make Pyramid Head undetectable for the next 25 seconds if he lands a successful punishment of the damned attack. This would also make him more useful in general. It wouldn't need other add-ons for synergy compared to the Lost Memories book, but it would also have a much lower duration to offset it and make it more distinct overall. Also, because Undetectable removes your Terriers and Red Stain, it would be useful inside and outside of chases, as with the lack of Red Stain at loops and high wall areas, you can use it to mind game the survivor to get the down, or you can use it to drop Chase and combine it with one of Pyramid Head's other information add-ons, or information perks in general to capitalize on the stealth from this add-on. And now we've come to his ultra rare add-ons, the Obsidian Goblet and the Iridescent Seal of Metatron. Both of these current add-ons effects are very situational, which is why they're not used nearly as much as other killers' ultra rare add-ons. The Obsidian Goblet, for instance, requires you to place trails in the environment ahead of time, then carefully walk along the trails in order to receive the benefit of becoming undetectable. However, the second you step off the trail, your terror radius reappears, as there's no buffer or duration of undetectable aside from staying on the Rites of Judgment trail. I think it just needs a quality of life change to where it applies the undetectable status effect to you, but when you're placing your Judgment trails in the environment. Essentially, it would also be the reverse effect of the Cinderella Music Box, because it'll actually make you stealthy on demand whenever you decide to place your Judgment trails in the environment. This would also have synergy with information perks and add-ons, as you can use the aura reading and generator perks to find survivors, and use the Obsidian Goblet to surprise them. Overall, I think this change would fix the add-on and keep it in line with its current effect. Now, the problem with the Iridescent Seal of Metatron is it has two rare situational requirements that make it difficult to activate or get value out of in general. The first being that you need to make a survivor tormented and send them to a Cage of Atonement, which isn't always the best thing to do in every situation. And the second part being that it only reveals the aura of survivors who are tormented, meaning that you've already had to apply it to other survivors ahead of time. And this is the part where it makes it exponentially hard to get value from. One, because survivors will often go out of their way to die out in the open rather than step in your trail, unless they have to. And two is that the survivors can remove their torment status effect by uncaging a survivor, thus removing the threat of having their aura read once and for all. When it comes to aura reading add-ons, especially when they're ultra rare rarity, they need to be essentially relatively easy to use, or basically free information essentially. I think an effect that fits this idea would be, whenever a survivor steps within 10 meters of a Judgment trail, already placed in the environment, they have their aura revealed to you. This effect does sound really strong, however it would still take a noticeable investment to place Judgment trails around the map ahead of time, in sort of strategic locations in order to get value from it. Unless of course you want to use it in chase at loops for instance, and drop the trail down in the middle of a loop in order to get aura reading in chase. One of the reasons I don't think this add-on is particularly that overpowered is because the trails don't remain in the environment forever, but rather 75 seconds by default, unless you exceed the limit you place in the environment at any given point, or you use an add-on to increase the duration that they can remain in the environment. Overall, I think it would encourage a different type of gameplay using Pyramid Head, plus it would give it more synergy with its other ultra rare add-on, and make him more threatening in general. Let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comment section. And with that being said, after 20 add-ons, we have given Pyramid Head a full add-on pass. I originally thought it was going to be easier to redesign a lot of his add-ons, however, towards the green and purple rarity add-ons, I sort of ran out of ideas as to what his power can do mechanically, as it's sort of limited to his special attack and his Cages of Atonement. I think all these add-ons would drastically diversify Pyramid Head's add-on usage, as there's no single best or worst add-on, and there's a lot of synergy you can use between them in order to create either fun builds and playstyles while using Pyramid Head. Anyways, what do you think about all these add-on choices? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Let me know down below. And with that being said, I am me+3, and I will see you next time. Goodbye for now.